Ms. Schmidt.
Miss Bowling.
Can I call you Jennifer?
Yes, you can.
You can call me Melissa.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for coming in today. I do have some notes on my phone that I'll be reading from. Before we get started, there are a few things I'd like to just cover. You are going to be recorded. I'm in no way, shape, or form a licensed counselor. This interview is part of an assignment for a college class that I have, interviewing techniques. This will take about 15 minutes, give or take. You're free to ask any questions at any time, clarification on anything I ask. For this scenario, the reason you're coming into counseling is because you have anxiety. Does that all sound okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. So can you tell me a little bit about your anxiety?
I have a lot of driving anxiety, and I'm not really sure where, that comes from. It's just, shopping anxiety, and just deal with it.
Okay.
Probably the reason why I smoke. There's, tools to help me cope.
Yeah, that, and a lot of people do that. When do you feel your anxiety started?
I don't know, probably 20 years ago.
So, quite a bit of time there.
Yeah.
20 years is.
Yeah.
When do you feel that it started to kind of impact your life and become problematic for just kind of your day-to-day routine?
Probably when I had kids, because, it was just a lot of dealing with the everyday stress, taking care of kids and in and outs, and dealing with a husband that was gone all the time over the road, and, basically being a stay-at-home
Right, it's very demanding.
mom. Very demanding.
Very demanding.
Yeah.
I'd like to congratulate you on coming in today. So that's a great first step. As far as your anxiety, can you identify any kind of triggers, or have you been able to notice any times where you can really notice your anxiety is being set off from doing this? I know that you mentioned driving, shopping. Are those your two main triggers, or are you thinking anything else?
No, I don't think they're really triggers. It just happens. I don't know why it happens. Sometimes I can just be random. I can be at home and I get a trigger and it's severe.
Yeah. When you're having that kind of anxiety attack, what are you feeling? Mentally, physically, emotionally?
Well, physically it feels like, you're having a heart attack. You become short of breath. You cry, you get emotionally, you cry, and you're scared, and it's just stressful on your whole body, and the way it even affects your mind. Yeah. It's just hard to describe.
Yeah. And what about emotionally? What do you feel?
It's like your mind is separate from what is supposed to be reality.
Like your anxiety is kind of in control of you at the moment.
Yeah. It takes over what is not real and what is.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's completely normal. So your anxiety, it manifests physiologically, feeling lightheaded, racing pulse, things like that. And that is completely normal, and that's extremely scary.
Yes.
It's very scary. I can understand that. Do you feel this impacts your relationships, family, friendships, co-workers?
Yeah, I think it does from day to day, because I tend to isolate myself as a protection, so I don't have those episodes.
When you say protection, what do you feel you need protecting from? Why do you feel that having these relationships is causing you to have anxiety?
Because when I protect myself, then I won't have the issue to, won't have the anxiety attack if I stay to myself.
Right. That can be frustrating. What do you hope to gain from counseling?
I want to be able to relate and grow friendships and, you know, not be as stressed and feel more relaxed.
So you definitely do feel like the anxiety is holding you back
Yes.
from a lot of things.
Yes.
Friendship for one.
Friendship,
Um,
being able to do things with the grandkids, you know. Work, it's not really, it doesn't really impact me at work. It's more of my home life.
Okay. And that's interesting. Why do you think your work life is not affected by your anxiety?
I feel really comfortable at work. It's a whole different situation than what it is at home.
Do you feel like maybe it's because you're more in control at work?
Yeah, I think so.
It's more of a structured routine,
Yeah.
and very predictable.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the difference with your family relationships? I mean, they know you, they're accepting of you. So what's the cause for anxiety there?
I'm not really sure. Just that, you know, I just feel like I need to be there and be to myself because I don't want to be hurt. You
Yeah.
know?
Kind of like protecting yourself so you don't have the opportunity to get hurt.
Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe you're projecting like your own insecurities and your own fears onto your relationships, and maybe that's like holding
More
you
than
back?
likely, yeah. Yeah, it is because a lot of it is, you know, part of anxiety is just imagining things that really aren't there. I
Right,
guess.
and they're not necessarily imagined. Those are real fears for you. So, you know, don't feel like you need to diminish or belittle your anxiety, because those are very real, valid feelings. Okay. So as far as like a time frame and like what you hope to see improvement on, how long would you say like you want? Is this something you want in terms of like half of the year, 3 months? Like what are your goals?
I think for a starter, I think 3 months would be, you know, acceptable to start. And if I see an improvement, maybe follow through with 6 months, and then
Mhm.
if 6 months seems okay, and then I feel like I can, you know, be on my own, I would come back for a yearly.
And that sounds very realistic. That's a very realistic goal. It's very achievable time frame. Coping with anxiety, it doesn't happen overnight. So what's a goal that you think we can set in between sessions from now to next week that maybe you feel comfortable with trying?
You know, going to my sister's house to have a meal or watch TV with her. She wants me to come over quite a bit, and you know that might be a good first step for
Might
me.
be like a doable thing for you.
Mhm.
What do you feel when thinking about trying to do that? Does it start conjuring up some anxiety?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think it can be manageable. You know, at this point,
Yeah.
just kind of like a small step. So.
Right, yeah, because we don't want to push too far in either direction. We don't want to do too little or too much, you know. I think that's a great goal to set. Don't feel pressured to follow through with it, but it shows your strength that you're willing to try to go out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would like to do is see you next week, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's
Right.
perfect.
Okay, so you want to do maybe like a weekly session?
I think that
Okay.
would be very, very conductive to getting on the right track.
Right, and then every week maybe setting, you know, a small goal and
Mhm.
just kind of inching forward to get you to where you want to be in, you know, around 3 months time. And it might take a little bit longer. It might, you know, be shorter than 3 months, but it just depends on your willingness to try.
Mhm.
And you know, we do experience setbacks, but we just got to keep in mind the end goal of what you're wanting. And I think that together we can really achieve it.
I think so too. I have high hopes that this will be a positive enforcement for my life.
Yeah, I feel the same way. As far as like the triggers, this week I'd like for you to go home and kind of really think about like what are the things that like are setting me off, that like maybe you notice like this kind of gets me feeling anxious and nervous. So we can kind of identify those because we don't want to necessarily avoid your triggers, but find a way to overcome those triggers.
Okay.
So, awesome. Well, we can set up a date with the receptionist, and I look forward to seeing you next week and hearing about your experience going to visit your sister. It was awesome. It was great of you to come in, Jennifer. I look
Thank
forward
you
to
so
it.
much.
Right. Thank you.